over to Jane Clarke from CIMM, who's going to share with us some really exciting insights that looks at kids in the US market.
So I'll stay in one place over here. If you don't know, CIMM's kind of like a JIC for innovation in the US. We don't really have the kinds of JICs that they have in Europe that actually commission a currency. But we have the broadcast networks, the cable networks, Google, the media buying agencies, handful of large advertisers working to innovate in cross-platform measurement and also bringing more granular measurement to television. And so we've done a bunch of pilot tests with ComScore and others in the industry to push this forward. And we kept running into this problem that nobody could really measure kids and teens. In the US, there's something called the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, which we all call COPPA, and it mandates that any digital measurement for children under 13 has to be opted in by their parents. And also because Facebook doesn't allow people to register until they're 13, all the kids that are 10, 11, and 12 are all lying and saying that they're 13, 14, and 15, so we don't really think that the data from 13 to 18 is very good from Facebook either. So what we basically did was, how could we pull this together across platforms, understand the sort of the ratings of video and TV shows across platforms, as well as kind of how this all works together and how does that vary by the different subsegments within, very young kids all the way up to 17. So we could have taken kind of a household-centric approach or a device-centric approach, but we chose to really take a kind of single-source human-centric approach. We put out an RFP, and we spent 6 months talking to all of these different companies. And you saw on the lead slide there Rolf Swinton from Reality Mind, who actually won a Data Creativity Award last year at ICOM. Their company, Reality Mind, was finally able to work on this with CIMM. And so we are doing a panel, a single-source panel. It's kind of a sort of high-tech panel. So we have family households, large households, lots of kids, lots of devices, and we're trying to just measure everything. I mean, we're really pushing the envelope in terms of how many devices and platforms that we can measure here. We're only up to 100 households now, so this is very small scale, seeing if we can make all this work. And then our phase 2, which we're about to enter, is taking it up to 500, and then we'll just see where we can go from there. Let's see, so we specifically recruited this within the TiVo panel in the US, which is a, special TiVo boxes. They're like their own set-top box. They have their own interface and their own electronic program guide, and it's kind of a unique environment, but they have all the data, and they also have a panel within that, so they know a lot of information about these households. So we were able to do a recruit within that household, not really trying to make it nationally representative, but just trying to get almost like a tech-forward panel. So we have the TiVo PowerWatch panel. We have a lot of sort of opting in, so the parents are approving this, that we're measuring everything about their kids. It's a very high-touch panel management. We're measuring every device in the household. We're using it through having the set-top box data for television combined with automatic content recognition, ACR, audio fingerprinting that sits on a tablet in front of every television set in the household. So it's kind of like we created our own people meter type of system. I'll tell you a little bit about how we tried to get the viewer assignment in a second. We also have a router meter, which you heard Josh talking about. In Europe, you all say a router meter, which is basically a fire hose of every internet transaction that goes back and forth from the household, and is just, like a mind-boggling data set. And then we have device meters, so they're also capturing everything happening on the devices. This Watcher app that you see down at the bottom there, what we were trying to do is, television measurement for years has had a problem. It's always been somewhat of a challenge to attribute the person's level, as Josh called it, the viewers per viewing household, the person's level information in the household, the co-viewing. And So, mostly it's a button that people have to press on their meter, or all PPM has the people carrying the meters, more passive. In this case, we thought at first that we would test kind of kidifying or gamifying the check-in so that all the kids got little icons and they could push buttons. I'll tell you sort of the results of that in a second. What we're trying to do then is for video, for TV, we're trying to kind of quadrangulate, we're calling it. We see a lot of stuff coming in for over-the-top SVOD services through the router meter. We have the TiVo set-top box data. We have the automatic content recognition that tells us what's hitting the glass. And then we have all the device meters as well. So you can see here, I've kind of covered sort of what we're capturing on all the different devices, the different platforms, and uniquely through the router meter, we are able to see Netflix and these over-the-top services that the standardized, television audience measurement has been having challenges with. So here's a little profile. This is incredible. We have households that have 26 devices. The average, you can see, is around there in the 12 and 13 range. These tend to be kind of more upscale households because they're large family households with lots of kids. They're all across the country. The challenges being the check-in and being also the people who work from home we've had a little bit of a challenge that once they understand that the router meter sees everything that goes through the internet, some of them who work from home are worried that their employers might not like this, and so we've had a little challenge there. And basically just pulling the data together has been quite challenging. So I'm just going to really quickly run you through. This is very early data. These are only 100 households, so don't take this too seriously. We're starting to be able to see the differences between live, time-shifted, and streaming, YouTube, Netflix versus other, and the streaming across device as well, and then also by time of day. So these are my last two slides here because I am out of time. And the very last thing is just that where we're taking this next is in the problem of the viewer compliance is really a challenge. So we're actually going to test some facial recognition technology. It doesn't really take pictures of people. It just it digitizes it immediately. And so there isn't a privacy issue. So we're going to experiment with that a little bit as some more passive ways to get the compliance and the viewer attribution. There we go.
Thank you, Jane. And